The DevOps job market has been on the rise for years now, but predictions are saying that it could absolutely blow up in 2026. Current reports are actually forecasting that the DevOps job market is going to go from about 10.5 billion in 2023 all the way to above 25 billion by 2028. And analysis suggests that the DevOps tools and services market may double in the next 5 years. But right now, companies are struggling to find talent. And actually over 37% of IT leaders identified it as the biggest skill gap in the company. But why is this happening? Why is demand rising so much with still so little supply? Well, firstly, it's the amount of growing skills that's required to be a DevOps engineer. DevOps isn't just pipelines anymore. We've got cloud engineers, platform engineering, SRE, DevSecOps, MLOps, and so much more. And realistically, it's just too much for one person to master at a deep level. You're not just expected to know DevOps anymore. You need to know infrastructure, security, scalability, automation, developer workflows all at once. And slowly, I think DevOps engineers are just becoming the people who handle everything that's outside of writing code. And that really is a huge shift. But to really understand why this market is growing so much and why it's forecasted to grow even further, is we need to look at what DevOps engineers are currently doing. You've got CI/CD pipelines, managing workflows, triggers, approval. You've got containerization, which is Docker and Kubernetes and orchestrating services at scale. You've got things like managing dependencies, code scanning, finding issues before they hit production. And a lot of companies now have migrated or are in process of migrating to the cloud. And a lot of DevOps engineers are responsible for actually managing and building out that cloud infrastructure, which comes with a whole host of more services that you need to learn. And on top of that, you've even got stuff like secret management, observability and monitoring, logging, alerting, infrastructure as code, scripting, and basically any automation task you can think of, as well as just any developer experience innovations and improvements that you think you can make. And that's not even touching things like AI and machine learning. So there's no wonder as to why there's been a shrink in supply if companies are expecting one person to come in and be able to do all of those things. But that doesn't quite explain the increase in demand. And to fully understand that, we need to zoom out and look at the software engineering industry as a whole. Because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but we've had some pretty major changes in the last few years. And of course, that's the rise of AI. AI is making it easier than ever to write code. Not just a little bit faster, but so much more code, so much more frequently. We can see from these GitHub statistics that we've already seen a huge increase in commits, repositories, and pull requests. And even the amount of code inside each of these changes is drastically increasing. And as AI is writing more code and making more changes, we're actually getting less certain that these changes are production ready. There is much less assurance in the code being committed. So now we've created a new problem. We've got more code being written, more deployments happening, more pipelines needing to be ran, but at the same time, because of the uncertainty of the code that AI is producing, we're going to need more logging, more monitoring, more deployment rollbacks, more security checks. And the responsibilities of both sides of that coin fall under DevOps engineers. So as AI writes more and more code, the responsibilities of DevOps engineers actually increases massively. But of course, that raises another question, and I'm sure some of you in the comments are already mentioning it. If AI is going to replace parts of software engineering, when does it come for the DevOps engineers? Now I'm going to be honest here, this is just a prediction of mine. It's just my view of how things might go. I'm going to give you my reasoning, but I can't exactly guarantee this is how things are going to play out. Personally, I think it makes sense to have AI generate more of our code. It can generate features, it can generate functions, but as things get more automated, I want more manual control, more of a human element in the deployment process. Because bugs in the code can be one thing, but a bad deployment, it can take down production, it can leak data, it can cause massive security concerns. It can take down entire systems. And that's not something I would feel comfortable handing over to AI. And I can see many companies, especially smaller companies, also hesitant to go through it. You want someone who understands the architecture, understands your app, understands when you need to pull the plug and when you don't need to. People who can make real judgment calls in the moment. So even if AI can help with some of the responsibilities I've listed before, I still feel like you need a human intervention in DevOps. Now, could that change in the future? Absolutely. But as of right now, I can sort of see a lot of software engineers accidentally becoming DevOps engineers. Because as AI writes more of the code, the software engineers are going to move over to everything but writing the code, which is stuff like managing systems, owning deployments, and handling reliability, which is kind of the exact space that DevOps sits in today. And historically, whenever technology increases, we don't tend to lose opportunities. We actually tend to gain it. And I think the roles with that flexible nature are really going to thrive. So my prediction at the moment is that AI isn't coming for DevOps jobs. And AI is shaking things up a bit. It's increasing the amount of code being written, but it's also increasing the amount of problems we're having. But AI is not the only reason why the job market is predicted to thrive. There is another factor, and that's scale. Modern systems are having to handle more users, more data, and more transactions, all at the same time. And companies need their applications to be fast and scalable and highly available. And this requires serious work on your infrastructure, your distributed systems, and your architecture. And on top of that, we've seen a lot of growth in different sorts of architectures. We've got things like cloud computing, serverless architectures, and microservices, all of which add complexity and specialist knowledge to manage properly. And roles like SRE and platform engineering, they're really just an extension on the same trend. In my opinion, DevOps isn't just growing, it's actually scaling into something completely new. And with AI accelerating the way that we build software, the need for people who can actually run, secure, and scale applications is only going to increase. Which means if you're thinking about getting into DevOps, you're probably looking at one of the most valuable skill sets in 2026 and beyond. But I'm really curious to know in the comments, do you think AI is going to replace DevOps engineers, or do you think it's just going to make them more important? And if you've enjoyed that video, please consider subscribing. This is a small channel and you probably won't see these videos again if you don't click the button. That's just the way YouTube works, it's not my fault.